Good morning, everyone. We are waiting for people to join us. And while we're waiting, if you'd like to go to the chat, feel free to put in your name and your affiliation, if any, as well as how you found out about our webinar. We're very interested in our outreach efforts to find out, did you hear about us from an email, a newsletter, word of mouth, or a social media blast? Please put that into the chat. Thank you. We'll be starting momentarily. So as people are joining us, we're just putting in the chat our names and our affiliation, as well as how we found out about the webinar, and then we'll be starting momentarily. Lots of familiar faces and names and a couple of new ones. Welcome. So we're going to get started. This is our 2024 Community Health Impact Grant Informational Webinar. And I'm Dr. Kelly Bowers, and I am the CEO President for Three Valleys Community Foundation.
Hi, everyone. I'm Susan Houghton, and I am also with Three Valleys as the co-founder and board secretary.
And I am Colleen Gregerson. I am the vice chair of the Three Valleys Community Foundation board, and I also serve as the grants committee chair.
And I see everybody's following directions, so we're putting into the chat information about how you found out about us, as well as your organization and title. Thank you. So today's webinar, just to give you a brief preview, we're going to talk a little bit about where we've been, a little history about Three Valleys. For some of you, that's a refresher, and for others, it might be brand new information. Then we'll talk about where we are, and these are our 2024 impact grants, which actually will be given out in 2025, but they are 2024 grants. And then where we're going, the actual step-by-step application process, will take you through that. Feel free to place questions in the Q&A, and that's at the bottom of your screen. It's a little box with a question mark. We'd prefer that the questions go through there instead of the chat, and we can hopefully respond and answer either as we go along or definitely at the end. And then we will also share FAQs.
Great.
So we're going to start with where we've been, and Susan's going to take it away.
Thanks so much, Kelly. We'll go to the next slide. We do have a number of familiar faces on our webinar today, but for those of you who have not joined us on our journey, just a quick history. We began in 2020, and at the time, the GDP in our area, gross domestic product, was about 42 billion. And a group of community leaders said, you know what, let's go ahead and see what we can do to raise the philanthropic profile of our region. So we started at that time. We became incorporated in 2021. And since then, we've been on a journey to really help our nonprofits in our region get to the next level. Next slide, please. This is our mantra, give where you live, and it's part of what we call really a community foundation profile. For those of you who are not familiar with community foundations, there are about 750 nationwide. They really serve as geographic anchors in a community. You see some of the icons here and logos and some familiar names there. But our goal is to really help donors give locally. And that's what we do. So we are different from other private foundations. We're not a corporate grant maker, but we are taking funds in from a variety of sources, independent donors, corporations who want to give through us to really make a stronger and bigger impact in our area. Next slide, please. Our vision is simple, and as you consider your grant applications, it's important to understand where we are so you can talk about not only how you're aligned with the grant specifications that Colleen will be getting into, but really as our vision and mission for an organization. It's very simple. We want to have a community where everyone has an opportunity to live a full and rewarding life, and we do that through thoughtful funding, informed giving, and collaborative action. Next slide. Much of what you'll see is a mantra of alliteration. We love it. Give, grant, and grow. And you see that in our values. Our values are integrity and transparency, equity and inclusiveness, collaboration, and innovation. I don't need to go into those for you here, but I would encourage you as you write your profile for why we should be funding you and your wonderful program that you're pitching. Think about these values and how you might align with those values. And I believe that's it. I'm going to turn it over back to Kelly, and we'll talk about our grants for this next session.
We're really excited about the launching of our 2024 Community Health Impact Grants, and we're building on last year's success of our 2023 Community Impact Grant making. You'll notice a key change. Last year was Community Impact. This year, we've expanded to Community Health. So just to go down memory lane, we had a State of Giving gathering on November 28th last year, and that was coinciding with Giving Tuesday. And we had 2023 Community Impact grantees. Many of you are on this call now. You'll see the logos, as well as we gave out funds for health equity through a corporate match. And with those funds, we were able to make sure that everyone who received a grant was able to address mental health and wellness throughout the Tri-Valley. And some focused on specific projects, and others actually worked throughout the Tri-Valley. And we were very excited that we were able to have so many recipients. Gave out a little bit over 144,000. And now we're accepting applications. So the RFP was actually released already, and today's our informational webinar. The deadline will be December 17th at midnight Pacific time. And so we are actively calling for applications in community health, and that is mental health and wellness, health equity and access, and environmental health. So when we were kicking this off, we actually started kicking off the 2024 grant making with John Muir stepping forward at last year's event with the first 30,000, and then Stanford Medicine Healthcare Tri-Valley came in and matched that. PG&E followed suit. We have many other returning donors, and we also have some new donors this year. And our goal, as Susan said, is we are a geographic anchor. So these grants are specifically for the key areas of mental health and wellness, health equity and access, and environmental health in our Three Valleys region. These are the sponsors so far, and we are actively taking in more sponsors as we go along. We'll notice that we have some new names, Nari, Diablo Valley, and McGriff, but we have a lot of returning strong supporters. And now we're going to be moving forward with the actual program and how you're going to apply. And we are using a very similar system. Last year, we had great feedback about that. And Colleen's going to take that away.
Thank you so much, Kelly. Yes, as Kelly mentioned, if you applied to our community impact grants last year, this is all going to look very familiar to you, and the application process is going to look very familiar to you. And if you're new, we're happy to walk you through what that's going to look like. So we can move on to the next slide. Just quickly, and all of this information is also in the RFP, but quickly going over this is our timeline for the application process. We are at November 4th today on our information session. For the next several weeks until the deadline on December 17th, we will be open for any questions or any technical support that you need, and using the Foundant application system. You can email us at info@3vcf.org, and we will endeavor to get back with you with an answer as quickly as possible. Once your submissions are in on December 17th, then there will be a period of review through the end of December and January. Possible that we would reach out for additional information if we felt that there was something missing from your application that would really help the evaluators understand it. But if you don't hear a request for supplemental information, don't worry. It doesn't mean that you're not being considered. It just means we have everything that we need to evaluate your application. In late January is when we anticipate our evaluation panel will have made decisions, and we will notify the applicants of their status. We intend to have grant agreements signed in February. We will have a public event the end of February, much like we did last year, to announce all of our giving, including these grants, and we hope that all of you can make that. And then we anticipate these grants would start in March, with the first payment being made in March. These will be 12-month grants, so the implementation period would be roughly March through April. The reporting schedule for this will be an informal check-in at the 6-month point, which we have typically done as a phone call, or if you prefer, a meeting. And that's when the second payment is released for our grants, and then a final written and financial report once the time period for that grant is over. So that's the broad timeline for this. Who is eligible to apply? And we've already had some questions come in on this. So 501c3 nonprofits, or if you are fiscally sponsored by a nonprofit, you are eligible to apply. We especially encourage collaboration of 2 or more organizations led by a 501c3. For this particular grant opportunity, we are not directly funding public entities such as school districts. However, if a 501c3 nonprofit is leading an application in partnership with the school district, that would be allowable. Most importantly is that we are, for this application, we are focused on the 3 Valleys region. So, Alamo, Danville, Dublin, Livermore, Pleasanton, Greater San Ramon Valley, Sunol. All of the work must benefit that area, the Tri-Valley area. If you applied last year, whether you received a grant or you did not receive a grant, you are eligible to apply this year in any of the 3 focus areas. Our selection criteria, so these again are in the RFP, but these are the criteria against which our evaluation panel will be reviewing each and every application. How well aligned is your application with 1 or more of our focus areas? Have you laid out a feasible plan to achieve measurable progress in the next year? Are you able to demonstrate impact with this work? Confidence-inspiring leadership, that you have representation of the people or communities that you are working to serve within the leadership, either of the organization or of the project, that you have a track record of being an effective organization. Now, if you're a new organization, you can also prove this by the effectiveness of maybe your leadership team in past endeavors. So this does not disadvantage new organizations. There are other ways to show your effectiveness, and we can help you with that if needed, if you have questions. And finally, that an award of up to $20,000 for a single organization or $25,000 for a collaborative application will make some meaningful difference to your success. So again, I'll point that out, that the grant sizes will be up to $20,000 for a single organization or up to $25,000 for a collaborative application. So as Kelly has mentioned, we have 3 focus areas this time. Mental health and wellness is our first, and this is repeating what we did last year. There was a tremendous interest in that, and it's still a tremendous need in this area. So this will be a continued focus for us this year. In each of these areas, you'll hear me say we are taking a broad focus. We want you, as the experts in each of these areas, to tell us what you believe is most needed and to make that case. So we have not narrowed down each of these focus areas to very specific interventions. We believe that you are the experts and are best placed to tell us what is most needed. So just by way of example here, in mental health and wellness, we'll be looking at everything, from wellness and social emotional skills to addressing stigma, to early intervention, and to treatment. So a very broad range, and we look forward to your ideas about what you'd like to do in this space. Next is health equity and access. So as we know, some people in our communities have excellent access to our healthcare, and others have many challenges to accessing healthcare. Those are, traditionally non-English speaking communities, seniors, people with disabilities, low-income households, our unhoused neighbors, some of our immigrant populations. So we're interested in applications that will show us how you plan to help overcome some of the challenges that people in our community have when it comes to accessing healthcare. And that can be from preventative to treatment, might be transportation issues, language access. Again, we know that you all are the experts, and we are interested in what some of the solutions you believe are most needed in our community. And finally, environmental health and sustainability. So again, we are looking for, we have a broad focus here, and we are interested in anything from public outreach and education, resource stewardship and conservation, cultivating green jobs, and any other innovative initiatives that is really going to look at the issues of climate, energy, environment, and green space in our communities. Okay, so that's our focus. How do we apply? So the first thing that you are going to do, if you have never registered with our online portal, that will be your first step. So I'm going to go to the next slide. When you click on apply for a grant, this is going to be the page that comes up for you. This is Foundant. This is our grant management system. If you already have an account with us, you can simply log in. If you do not, you will see under the login information, create a new account. So you will click on create a new account. There will be a series of questions, some basic contact information for yourself and your organization. And once you've completed that, you will then have an account that you can continue to log on to our system with. Now I'm going to ask if I can share my screen, because what I'm going to do is show you, once you do have your account, what our application looks like. Okay. Kelly, Susan, can I get a thumbs up if you can see my screen okay? Okay, perfect. So once you have your login and your account with Foundant, when you log in, this is the page that you're going to see. This is our apply page. So please do note that we currently have 2 grant opportunities open. We have the one that we're talking about today, which comes up first, the 2025 Community Health Impact Grants. We also have another one, which is our Opioid Innovative Mini Grants. This is funding that we are administering on behalf of Alameda County with the Opioid Settlement Fund. So that is a separate application process. And I do know that some of you happen to have programming that affects both of those areas, and you may be submitting an application for each. However, if you are looking to submit for our Community Health Impact Grants, just make sure that you are focusing on this one up here. Now, you don't even have to jump in and apply right away. You can hit preview, and that will pull up a preview of all of the questions. You can download those and print them out if you're the kind of person that wants to have it in front of you and jot down notes. In fact, I'll just quickly show you how to do that. You'll go to preview, and there's this question list here that will create a PDF that you can print out if you are like me and want to have a paper copy in front of you. But if you are ready to start applying, you will simply hit on this apply button, and our application will come up, which I will quickly go through that. Please do note that you don't have to finish it all in one go. Once we get to the bottom, you'll see that there is an opportunity to save your application, and you can continue to save it as many times as you need, as long as you just submit it by our December 17th deadline. So we start with just some basic information, your mission statement, the year you were founded, and please do let us know if you are fiscally sponsored. If so, there'll be some additional questions about who your fiscal sponsor is. If you happen to submit an application with us last year, you will also see an opportunity that you can just simply copy your answers from last year. For example, maybe certainly your mission statement will be the same, but maybe the project description is the same. You can simply copy that, or you can copy it and then make adjustments to it to speed up your process. So we hope that that will make things a little bit more efficient for some of you who already have an application and that remains relevant for this year's window. Then we'll get into project information, the name of your project, the amount of funding that you are requesting, the project needs. We'd like you to spend a little time telling us about which area you're focusing on, whether it's mental health, health equity and access, or environmental health, or you might have project that crosses across 2 or more of those, which is also fine. But let us know what is the need that you're trying to fill, or what is the challenge that you're looking to overcome with your project. The one thing this system does not allow, it does not allow hyperlinks to be included, but if there is a website with data or other information that you would like the evaluation panel to access, you can copy and paste the web address into here so we can access it that way. We then have a project description where we'd like you to tell us about your goals, the strategy that you're going to be following, the activities that you're going to be implementing for your project. And we've left a pretty generous space here. You don't have to fill all of that up, but we did want to give you enough space that you felt that you could explain your project in as much detail as you like. For organizational effectiveness, we'd love to hear 2 to 3 accomplishments that your organization has had that you feel exemplifies your work. This is your brag sheet. We'd love to see what you've done and what you're proud of here. And then this is an optional question. If there's anything else that you felt you didn't have a chance to tell us about that's important, here's a space for you to do that. It's entirely optional. Then we want to collect a little bit of data about the people and places that you're serving. So there's geography served, age sector served, and then we've given you some space to talk about in more detail the population that you will be serving with this particular project. We're getting close to the end. We want to know about your leadership. We'd like to have the leadership bios either for your organization or for the head of this project. If your leaders have updated LinkedIn's or a bio on your website that is up to date, please feel free to simply include the web address for that. You don't have to rewrite it or copy and paste it in. We can go to those websites and read those easily. We want to hear how the populations you are serving are represented either within the organization or within the program decision-making and leadership. And then finally, we'll get to the financial section. Please input your annual budget for your current fiscal year. This will give us a sense of the size of your organization. Upload a project budget. You can use whatever template is convenient for you. Just ensure that there's enough detail in there for our financial folks to review and assess that. And then you can also include some budget narrative, entirely optional. If you feel that your budget would benefit from having some narrative to go along with it, or perhaps this is going to unlock some matching funding, anything that you want to tell us about the budget that doesn't come through in the numbers, please feel free to use this space here. And finally, please upload your most recent tax returns. And we ask you to do this because the IRS has a significant delay in uploading tax returns. So if we just go to the IRS website and look for it, it'll be at least 1 year in arrears there. So we ask you to upload your most recent one here. And then as I promised, here's the save application button. So if you can save it along the way until you're ready to submit, but do please remember to hit the submit button once it is completed. When you do that, you will receive an automatically generated email that lets you know that it has been submitted. So you can feel confident that we have received it. And then we will get notification that it has been submitted as well. I'm going to stop sharing there. And I believe that takes us into questions, if I am not mistaken. So I have not had a chance to keep an eye on questions as we've gone along, but maybe Kelly, you have.
So we have one more little advertisement here. So we will be giving out our grants on Wednesday, February 26th, 2025 at the Roundhouse, and that's at this Bishop Ranch in San Ramon Valley. So that'll be a really nice reception. It's free to everyone. We will be awarding publicly the grants, as well as we invite everyone to come, whether they are grant recipient or not, just to be part of the celebration and to meet our donors, sponsors, and other grant awards we'll be giving out that. And then there's some additional resources. So our website is full of information if you want to follow up there, as well as another grant opportunity that Colleen mentioned. Also, once you're in the Foundant system, and I've used these myself, there's video tutorials. So if you have any questions or concerns, you can just go in there, and it's really user friendly. And I think it'll be really helpful. But if all else fails, you can also reach out to us, info@3bcf.org. And so we're just a click away. And now we will get to some of the questions. So I think Susan's been fielding a few. Some of them have been answered. What's left?
Okay, so clarification for Colleen on if Castro Valley is considered part of Tri-Valley. And if you serve, some of your organization serves the Tri-Valley, but you might serve a portion of Castro Valley. Could you clarify if this grant applies for that?
Castro Valley is not considered part of the Tri-Valley region. Sorry to say, we do love Castro Valley, but it's not part of our coverage, so that is not eligible for these grants. Now, your organization may not be based in the Tri-Valley, but if your work benefits the Tri-Valley, you are still eligible to apply. Or maybe you cover the Tri-Valley with some of your work and you cover other areas with other of your work. You would simply need to be applying for a project that's benefiting the Tri-Valley region.
Great.
But I will add to that, that we have been in conversations with some Castro Valley donors and some entities there. And so separate from this process, we may be opening up some funds that will benefit Castro Valley in the future.
And I see another question is if my organization serves the Tri-Valley and some other areas of the East Bay, are we still eligible to apply? Yes, you are eligible to apply, but 100% of the funding from this project needs to go to your Tri-Valley serving work and projects.
Okay, we have another question regarding which you answered already, Colleen, that you being able to go in at one sitting or be able to go back in and have it multiple times, and you may save the application, and we answered that as part of it. The next one is, can the grant funds be used for salaries? Are there any restrictions, programmatic versus administrative?
You may use the funds for salaries. You cannot do your work without people. We get that. So please feel free to put budget towards salaries for this for these project budgets.
And we also always do add that caveat. And again, it's up to you and your decision that this is, one-time funding. And so we will probably do another grant round next year, but it may have a different focus. And so that's just one thing to be considered when you're actually hiring staff. I know from my experiences in the school district, we used to be cautious about that if it was restricted funding that would have a sunset.
We had another question, which I think I answered live as well. Can this money be used for more than one project? I think the answer there is it can, but we encourage you to write the most competitive grant application possible. So wherever you're going to have the biggest impact would be what we would consider you to do.
And maybe just further on that is that you can submit one application as a prime applicant. So please don't submit 3 or 4 or 5 different project applications. Please submit one application per organization. The one caveat to that is if you are a partner to another organization who is submitting an application, that is perfectly fine. Just one application as the primary recipient.
Kelly, we have a question on the opioid mini grants, if the salary admissibility is applicable to that grant as well.
Yes, my understanding is that it is, and it's kind of counterintuitive. Those are called mini grants, but they're actually substantial grants. Those range from 50,000 up to 250,000 for a single agency, and then up to 300,000 for a joint, because that is in the big scheme of all of the opioid settlement funds that have come out to communities and to our counties. Then that is actually considered mini. So I just want to make sure that people understand that. And also to the Castro Valley folks, they are in Alameda County. So Castro Valley can apply for the opioid settlement innovative mini grants if they choose.
And yes, to answer your question, April, you may apply for both the opioid mini grant and the community health grant as well. You may apply for both. That's it, Colleen and Kelly.
You all are very efficient. We are, please put in, if you have any more questions, please continue to put them in, but we are getting near to the end of our content here. If you do think of a question, just as soon as we hang up, like that always happens, you can email us at info@3vcf.org and we'll make sure to get you a response to that.
Any other questions coming in?
I think that's it.
Well, I think that we are nearing our end here. So we want to thank everybody for joining us. We appreciate all the new faces who've joined us, as well as our returning nonprofits. And feel free to reach out and have a wonderful day.
Kelly, as we sign out, someone did ask, will we be sending out the deck?
We will be sharing a recording of our webinar, and we can make the PowerPoint available upon request. Right. One more question. Yes.
Right.
Okay.
Thank you, everyone.